They would like to have an introduction for yourself, briefly.
나?
Yep.
내가 로저 셰퍼드입니다. 백두대간 사진작가. 아마도 내가 남북 통일대사입니다. So my name is Roger Shepherd. I'm from New Zealand, and these days I live in Gure, Jeollanam-do. And my life here in Korea is about photographing mountains of the Baekdudaegan, North and South Korea. And I do tour guiding, and I do other things related to mountains.
나의 이름은 로저 셰퍼드입니다. 저는 백두대간의 사진을 찍습니다. 남북한 백두대간 사진을 찍고 있습니다. 편하게 말씀 좀 해주시면 됩니다. 네. 투어 가이드도 일하고 있습니다. 네, 편하게 말씀해 주시면 되고요. 저는 다음. 그러면 지금 아까 구례에 산다라고 했는데 왜 서울이 아니고 구례에 살고 있는 한국에 어떻게 정착하게 되었는지 이야기가 듣고 싶다. 왜 지리산 구례에 사는지. 그러니까 다시 말하면 한국에 정착하게 된 계기와 왜 지금 구례에 사는지에 대해서 궁금하다. Why is asking why did you settle in Korea or South Korea? Well, what's the reason?
I came to South Korea initially for a holiday, and I discovered Baekdudaegan. That was in 2006. I hiked Baekdudaegan. I wrote a guidebook about that, and then when I was writing the guidebook, I discovered many different things about Korean culture, mountain culture. So I came back to Korea again in 2009, this time on more holiday, and I hiked the Jongmek for 6 months. And during the 6 months of walking, I kind of had a sense of, I guess what they might say, enlightenment. Okay, where I decided that I was going to stay in Korea and just explore more of their mountains. So that was the reason why I came back to Korea in 2010, quit my job and started a company here. And my job was to introduce mountains to foreigners as a tour guide and maybe publish books. So I started off in Seoul for 1 year, and then I moved to Songnisan in Chungcheongbuk-do, which was good because Songnisan is a really beautiful mountain, but it was kind of boring, and there was no right artist community, nothing there, just Haraboji harmony. And then some friends told me to come down to Gure, Jirisan, and stay there. And I found a nice house in Gure, and I've been living in Gure, Jirisan ever since. So Gure is a nice place to live because it's very rural, it's good food, good air. I like the people of Jeollanam-do. I think the people of Jeollanam-do are pretty good. Jirisan's a special mountain, and also there's a lot of artists and writers and poets and ceramic potters. There's an artist community in Gure as well. But to be honest, I'm happy to live anywhere in Korea that I like. I don't have to stay in Gure. If I see somewhere else I like, I could go live there too. But I like the countryside. I could never live in South Korea just to live in the cities. There's no point. I mean, I'm from New Zealand. We're country people. So I decided that the Korean Shigol is a place I like.
근데 좀 해주셔도 될 것 같아요. 네, 그리고 제가 하면서 만약에 자세하게 필요하면 좀 편집을 해서 보면서 지금 해주시는 것도 굉장히 될 것 같은데.
길죠.
네. 그러니까 제가 사실 조금만 알아드리는 대충 알아드리니까 편집을 해서 나중에 필요하면은 예, 편집한 파일은 그냥 클립 파일 주시면 그게 나을 것 같은데 지금 해주시는 거.
I think Junni, you can look at those too.
지금 내용 한번 말씀을 그럼
They can probably even walk behind.
그럼 다시 질문 다시 한번 할게요. 네. 그러면 한국의 남한의 백두대간을 쭉 다니다가 북한의 백두대간에 관심을 가지게 된 계기가 무엇인지 궁금하다.
first of all, probably you've been experienced first back to Daegan in South Korea. And what makes you actually interested in something?
North Korea.
You are feeling about North back to Daegan.
Yeah, like, you know, I was kind of like the same as everyone else in the beginning about what people thought about North Korea, was that North Korea was like a country you shouldn't go to, it's evil, you know, all those things, right? And so at first I had no plan to go there and do that. But when you hike the Baekdu Daegan in South Korea and you get to like the DMZ, you get to Jinburyong, and then you climb to Gyeongnobong, inside the DMZ, and you look into North Korea, you kind of feel like you want to continue, right? And so, but I knew I couldn't do that. But so later, when I started my company, I was looking for ideas to make money, right? And I wanted to publish a book of photography of mountains of South Korea. And I'm not a trained photographer, right? Like, my photos aren't very good, but they're special because it's a good subject. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, a publisher. I said I wanted to publish a book of mountains of South Korea. And he says, no, don't be stupid. It's like, so many books already exist, yeah? It's like, and you're not even a professional photographer. I mean, it won't work. It's not a good idea. And then he said to me, but because you're a New Zealander, you can go to North Korea. And if you can take mountain photos in North Korea, then probably a good market for that. It's a good subject. And I thought that was a good idea. So then I started thinking about, how can I get into North Korea? I mean, I had no contacts. My work to go there is kind of special. It's not a tour. Like, I'm going to ask the North Korean government for permission to take photos of their mountains. So I found out how to do that. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. And I ended up going to Pyongyang and telling them what I wanted to do. And by then I decided that it would be a better idea, rather than just turn up and say, hey, can I take photos of your mountains, go to them with an idea. So I decided, well, why don't I continue with the Baekdu Daegan in North Korea and say that I'm going to make a book from Baekdu to Jiri, connecting Korea through the Baekdu Daegan. And I told them that's what I wanted to do. And surprisingly, they said it was a good idea, and they agreed to help me do it. So that's how it all started, yeah. They can't be short answers, I'm sorry. So, yeah.
처음에는 기본적으로 한국 회사를 차리고 나서 이제 돈을 어떻게 벌 것인가 해서 한 출판사 친구한테 얘기해서 한국산에 대한 사진을 찍어서 판매를 하겠다라고 얘기를 했는데, 한국산에 대한 책들이 너무 많고 시장 자체가 좋지 않아요.
Yeah, thank you.
하지만 북한국은 그런 사진을 판매하기가 괜찮을 것 같다.
That's my North Korea tours.
바로 북한에 가서 니네 사진 찍을래라고 하면 당연히 허락해주지 않으니까 일단은 투어를 하면서 자기가 연결해서 백두 대가가 지리성을 같이 연결하는 사진이 연결되지 않겠느냐라고 그냥 제안을 했는데, 놀랍게도 그걸 수용을 해서 그 사진을 찍게 됩니다. 되게 짧게 만들었어요.
네. 그러면 다음 질문은, 북한을 매년 이렇게 오고 가고 하는데, 북한까지 어떤 교통편을 이용해서 가고, 북한에서 또 어떻게 다니는지가 궁금하다. 그리고 북한의 깊은 산속을 다니는데, 그 음식이나 먹을 것이나 음료수, 물들은 어떻게 조달을 하고 다니는지가 궁금하다.
His question is, number one, how did you go to? He know that you going to North Korea every year. And how do you go to North Korea? Methodology of transportation.
김신조 알아요? 똑같이 바지 임진강, 같은 툭툭툭. 맞아?
No, you really story.
진짜?
진짜?
나나.
You know how to transport? How do you go there?
It's pretty easy. Like, first thing, when you go to North Korea, you need permission. So you have to be invited to go to North Korea. So first you got to do is get the contact, the email, right? And then get the invitation. This is for a private visit. Like you can go to North Korea as a tourist with a tour company. That's pretty easy. But in my case, my work was much more serious than being a tourist. So once you've done that, you go to Beijing, you pick up your visa at the North Korean embassy. That's all pre-arranged. And then you get on a plane and you fly Goryeo Air to Pyongyang. So it's quite easy to get in and out of North Korea. Well, but you always need an invitation. Yeah. And they only give you a visa for the period of your stay. So if you're going there for 5 days, your visa is only for 5 days. Yeah. If you're going there for like, sometimes I go to North Korea for 7 weeks. So I have a 7-week visa.
The second question was, how do you organize the transportation in North Korea?
Yeah.
And when you actually go to the mountains or
Yeah.
some other cities in North Korea, how did you actually supply of your food and waters, drinks, etc.
So what happens is like, I tell that like with my expeditions of the Baekdudaegan, it costs money to do these things, right? So what the North Koreans agreed to do is like, I cover the cost of the expedition, okay? So I cover the cost of the vehicle, the food, the accommodation, and all, and running the diesel for the vehicle, okay? Because it's my expedition, so I should pay for that. And then they give me a quote, right? And we negotiate a price, all right? And then in that price will be the cost of the vehicle, okay? So the vehicles are normally like rental vehicles with a driver. And then in Pyongyang, we stay in like a hotel. And then when we travel to the mountains, we take as much food as we can with us. So in Pyongyang, we buy like sacks of rice, cans of meat, biscuits, cigarettes, alcohol, cooking oil, beans, all the non-perishable items, stuff that can stay fresh for a long time. And then we drive to the mountain, and then we normally, before we get to the mountain, we stop and pick up like a local guide, or we go to Salimcheong, or we find the Ijangnim, and then we ask them like, we want to climb this mountain. Do you know how the best way to do that? Or can you give us a local guide to help us find a trail up the mountain? And then they join us, that team, the member joins us, and then we drive deeper into the Gergok. These are like on really bad roads. This is like off-road. And then we go as far as we can. And then we stop, and then we set up camp, pitch our tents, right? And then we talk about the next day, how we're going to climb the mountain. And then the next day we start climbing, right? And then get to the top. And my job is to get the photos. So I'm always asking questions about, at the top, is there a good view? Or show me a place where there's some good views, etc., etc. And that's how we survive every day. Sometimes we run out of food, right? So if we might go, once a week, we might go to a city like Wonsan or Hamhung or Chongjin, depending where we are, and buy some more supplies. But in the countryside, we're always asking the local people for food. Samnamu, Sannamu, sul, sometimes gogi. So sometimes we can get fresh meat from the local people. So it's kind of like it's a proper expedition. We survive through the help of the people as well.
I have a question. Which kind of government agency are you contact to? You just told me negotiating, organizing all the vehicles, guides,
yeah. So how it works is like there's a society. So in North Korea, there's like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, right? The department, and they do lots of different things. And one of the divisions of that is the Committee for Cultural Affairs with Foreign Countries. And under that arm is like what they call friendship societies. 친선협회. 친선협회. 협회, sorry. 친선협회. So there'd be like a 미국 친선협회, 호주 친선협회, 중국 친선협회. There's a New Zealand one. So I deal with the New Zealand Friendship Society. So in New Zealand, there are New Zealanders that have that are members of like a friendship society that sends New Zealanders to North Korea for cultural exchange, different types of projects. So that's how I approached them initially to get permission about my idea to photograph mountains of North Korea. So the people I deal with in Pyongyang are members of the New Zealand Korea Friendship Society.
And second question was, how do you pay to 친선협회? You have to pay a certain amount of money.
I pay, yeah.
By dollars, or US dollar, or is it euro?
It's not really my business to say, yeah.
Oh, you have permission to say?
Yeah, I can get in big trouble for that,
Okay.
this day and age, with sanctions and what have you, yeah. You probably shouldn't even broadcast that question. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's a big problem these days, yeah, with banks and it's bullshit, yeah.
그 북한의 백두대간은 오늘 2011년인데.
But I just pay, off the record, I just pay them in cash, US dollars. Yeah. Because you actually can't transfer money to North Korea. Yeah. The UN, man, I'm not a fan of the United Nations, they're assholes. Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
네.
괜찮아?
북한의 백두대간은 처음 간 게 2011년, 12년?
처음에? 11년.
11년인데 지금 2018년까지 백두대간을 계속 다니면서 처음 갔을 때랑 지금이랑 어떤 변화와 차이가 있는지 그게 궁금합니다.
You mentioned that since 2011, this date last year, up to last year, what you've been quite a long time to be in North Korea. So what's big changes in North Korea when you see the map,
Right.
cultural stuff, every aspect that what you saw?
Yeah, I'd be guessing, but like I can say for like in Pyongyang, there's been a lot of changes since Kim Jong-un has been the leader. Pyongyang looks much more better. There's a stronger atmosphere there. There seems to be a kind of, how can I say, there seems to be money circulating in Pyongyang, like as in business between people, all right? And there's lots of new features, new buildings, traffic lights, new taxis. There's a greater sense of energy under Kim Jong-un than there was his father, Kim Jong-il. But the countryside hasn't changed much though. The countryside is still struggling, okay? So, you know, and I guess, you know, there's lots of reasons why that might be, okay? Sanctions must be one, but then possibly poor governance as well as another, or poor decision making. But yeah, I would like to see some changes in the near future start to happen in the countryside. But I guess that those things can't happen until there's more development in the cities, because that's where the wealth is generated in all countries. It's generated from the cities and then it gets spread out to the countryside.
Is it okay to broadcasting about your opinions about the countryside?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, because it's not really criticism; it's more an honest will to see something done. They know that. Yeah. But as I said, the countryside will get the development last. But things need to happen before then. Like there needs to be some kind of peace arrangement between North and South Korea. There needs to be a drop in sanctions so North Korea can survive and make money. And there needs to be a bit of an agreement between the United States and North Korea that can allow peace to happen on the Korean Peninsula. Because North Korea is getting strangled to death by sanctions. It's pretty amazing that they can survive. I mean, seriously, it's incredible. I mean, you can say what you want about North Korea and its leadership, but they know how to keep their people driven and to not forget the dream of Juche. That there's a purpose behind everything. There's one thing I will say about the people of North Korea. I found they all had a sense of strong purpose. It was quite amazing to see that. So I have a lot of admiration and time for the people of North Korea. I actually find them to be all very intelligent. They're all literate. And I'm talking about even people in the countryside. They're all very clever and able to help and very quick to understand how to do something because they know how to survive. They're not a wasteful people like us. Just, it's broken, throw it away. They fix stuff and keep stuff going. Very, very clever, very interesting to see. Because I come from a culture that was once like that, New Zealand, where we tend to fix things or make things better or be innovative. I'm not saying that's the case now, but it's a culture where it's not about wealth. It's not about being rich. Those things are not important in my culture, normally. But in North Korea, it's not important either. What's important? Shit, Korean. It's like, yeah, it's a bloody difficult language, man. Seriously. So many different ways to say the same thing. It's pretty...
북한의 백두대간에서를 탐험할 때 가장 인상 깊었던 산이 어디인지 궁금합니다.
Which mountain are you most impressive when you're actually doing expedition in North Korea?
They're all special because you go there for the first time, right? So you don't know what you're going to find. But good mountains from memory were like Durusan. Durusan is in Baegamgun, Yanggangdo, and that was like 2,309m 해발. So it was a big mountain, and it was a great experience. And then recently, in 2017, Chailbong, which is part of the Gaemogo-won, that was a great, big, beautiful mountain. That was like 2,505m 해발. That's a big mountain, for Korea to climb. And that was a fantastic mountain because it was open top, and it was just big views, and it was like in the middle of nowhere. And it was just fantastic to be there. It was a really amazing feeling. So they're all very good mountains to go to. Yeah, some of them are disappointing sometimes because you don't know what's there. You climb a mountain, you spend 8 hours climbing the mountain, you get up to like 2,100 meters, and it's just forest. And it's like, wow, this is beautiful to see all this forest up here at this height, but I can't take a photo because it's just trees. I can't see any views. So I would climb the tree to get to the top of the tree and then take photos out over the tops of the trees. So, yeah. They're all good. There's many more to find as well.
이번 전시에 백두 고원의 사진이 많이 전시되어 있는데 사람들은 개마 고원은 잘 알지만 백두 고원은 잘 모르는데 백두 고원을 좀 소개를 좀 해주세요. 어떤 느낌의 공간이고 어떤 환경의 공간인지 궁금합니다.
He was asking that a lot of Korean people, also Korean people, actually knowledge about the Gaemogo-won, but not the Baekdu-go.
Right, yeah.
So can you actually introduce and a little bit describe about the Baekdu-go?
Yeah. So there's people get confused. They think so beneath Paektusan mountain, there's a plateau. It's about 6,000 square meters of plateau, okay? And some people mistake that as Gamma-Go-1. It's not Gamma-Go-1. Gamma-Go-1 is bigger. It's about 14,000 square kilometers, and it sits more on the western side of the Baekdu Daegan through the province of Yanggangdo and into Jagangdo. And then Baekdu Go-1 sits beneath Paektusan. And then there's another Go-1 to the east. It's called Mansu Go-1. Okay, so there's 3 different plateaus. So Baekdu Go-1 is part of the Paektusan plateau area. And it consists of large pine forests, Ipgalnamu, and open volcanic soils. And it's bordered by the Amnokgang River to the west and the Dumangang River to the north. And, sorry, do you want to know a bit more? It was an area infiltrated quite heavily during the struggle for Korea's independence from the Japanese. So in the northern regions of the Korean Peninsula, there was a communist revolutionary movement to fight against the Japanese, okay? And in the southern regions, there were other resistance movements against the Japanese too. But a lot of the resistant fighters moved into China because they were safer in China from the Japanese than they were inside Korea. So the Baekdu Go-1 area was an area heavily infiltrated by partisans who came in and out from China to fight the Japanese, or to pass messages, or to recruit more people, or to spread propaganda. And they actually used the Baekdu Daegan as a kind of a highway to actually travel down to fight the Japanese with. So they set up lots of, they call them milyang, secret camps or bivouacs or places where soldiers hide whilst fighting the Japanese. And they used the Baekdu Daegan to do that because it was high up in the mountains and they could find springs and they could survive for longer periods of time there without being detected by the Japanese. Because that's 100 years ago now, right? Almost. So, you know, if you wanted to find soldiers in those days, you actually had to walk and try and find them. These days you can use satellites and infrared technology and aircraft here.
그 백두 대간의 매력을 한국 사람들에게 소개해주세요. 백두 대간은 어떤 매력이 있을까? 한국 사람들이 우리는 너무 가까이 살고 익숙하기 때문에 잘 모를 수가 있는데 계속 탐사를 한 사람으로서 백두대간의 매력을 한국 사람들에게 소개해 준다면 어떤 매력이 있을까요?
Do you want to introduce about charming attractions of Baekdu Daegan to South Korea?
Baekdu Daegan
Yes.
to like Nambook Baekdu Daegan,
Yeah.
north and south.
North and south.
Oh, okay, the reason why to hike it or to visit it? Oh, yeah, for South Koreans, I mean, many do already, okay? The thing is about, it depends how they do it, right? I mean, most people in South Korea only have the time to do it like on their weekends, right? Because they're too busy. But I would recommend that someone find the time to actually take 6 weeks to walk it in South Korea as a long distance trail. From the start, like say from Jirisan to Gyeongnobong, Soroksan. Because when you walk long distance with a pack on your back for over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more weeks at a time, you change as a person. Not only do you become physically better and stronger, you clean your mind of everything inside it. And you start to enjoy the experience of like living out of your bag. And with the Baekdu Daegan in South Korea, it's a great way to not only discover your country on foot, by walking along the highest crest of it, and then enjoy all these splendid views and beautiful national parks and beautiful other places. But you also get to meet a lot of people that live near the Baekdudaegan, farmers, Shigo Saram, and then you can experience them as well. And also you get to discover many different historical features of South Korea that maybe you weren't aware of, like the Baekje Shilla, Goryeo, and all the old walls that split Korea are on the Baekdudaegan. And history from like the Indian War and other parts of Korean history are all actually explained on the Baekdudaegan. And then there's like the Buddhist history as well, all the temples, Busoksa, Bopchusa, Woljongsa. There's a deep Buddhist history on the Baekdudaegan. And there's also like even more ancient stuff, like in Taebaksan, there's Chonjedan. So there's all these like old animistic shrines devoted to Sansinyeong or shamanism. So a lot of Koreans actually, after they've walked the Baekdudaegan, they actually become more Korean, they say, because they rediscover their country. All right. So I would recommend, though, to do it like properly, find the time and do it once, because it's an invigorating experience. To do any country, anywhere in the world, just to walk for a long distance is like a kind of pilgrimage. But you know, the South Korean Baekdudaegan is a great experience, and it's changing quickly. So we should protect it from unnecessary development as well.
How about the north?
The north is much more wild. Like it kind of can't be done yet. All right, it's an unexplored region. Okay, it's like, of course, if North and South Korea can become, open up and coexist together, then I think you'll start to see many South Koreans wanting to hike the Baekdudaegan in North Korea. But it will be a very difficult thing to do because there's no trail in many places. So, I calculate that to do it once, like one time, like from Baekdusan to Gumgangsan, would probably take 4 months of solid walking. Yeah. It's a bigger country, bigger mountains, very difficult.
이번 전시에서 아날로그 필름을 지금 전시하고 있는데 그 필름은 어떻게 촬영하게 된 거고 이번 전시를 통해서 처음 본 걸로 알고 있는데 그 느낌이 어떤지 궁금합니다. 무엇보다 저 슬라이드 필름.
Right, yeah.
When he was asking about the film style of films, so he was told me that was the first time he actually
saw them, yeah. Yeah. So
how do you feel about it after when you see these forest analog films?
Yeah, I haven't seen all of them actually. Haven't had a chance, but it was a great. Like I took in. Normally, I take 35mm film with me on a camera, in case my digital stuff breaks or collapses or the batteries get wet or whatever, and I can always use a film camera to do the job with. But obviously with film, that takes a bit more skill because you can't see what you're shooting, and it's expensive. And like digital, you can just and then delete, take again. Although with digital, I'm pretty careful too because there's no point in taking a shit photo. You should always try and take a good photo. So like, so I had all this old film that I hadn't seen. I'd had it developed, but I'd never put it on in a slide projector. So when I saw those for the first time, it was pretty special because like I hadn't seen them for like 6 years ever. And the quality of the color is always a bit different than digital. It's kind of a more real color compared to digital. And digital is very good too, though, I must admit. But yeah, it was a great thing to see that. It should be on a bigger screen, though.
지금 저희 김포문화재단하고 김포문화재단에게 좀 하고 싶은 말은 좋은 말이 듣고 싶은 거죠.
So you've been actually co-working doing some exhibitions before with Kimpo,
Yep.
the 문화재단.
Yeah.
So any word to them to improve or good or bad thing? Of course, they want to hear the good goodies, but
Oh, no. Yeah.
조금만 더 들어요. 우리가 계속 전시를
This is my chance.
네, 같이 하는 많이 전시를 계속 하고자 하는 이유 중에 중요한 이유 중에 하나는 김포가 북한과 가장 가까이 있는 도시 중에 한 곳이다. 그래서 한 곳이어서 북한에게 관심도 많고 앞으로 북한과의 여러 가지 교류도 많이 일어날 것이고 또 그래서 우리 이곳에 사는 사람들이 이 전시를 보면서 북한 사람들과의 다름이 없는 좀 친밀함을 느꼈으면 좋겠다는 생각이 계속 전시를 하고 해왔는데 거기에 대한 당신의 생각도 궁금하고 또 김포문화재단에 대한 그래서 또 어떤 얘기를 더 해줄 수 있는지 그런 얘기 궁금하다. 근데 잘 말씀을 좀 주세요.
okay. The Gimpo City Council or city is actually itself has been very near to the border of North Korea, right?
조강.
And stuff like that. So expecting in the future or near future or long term future, we don't know, but they probably will have some of exchange by probably communication of people in and out. We've been expecting that, and the people probably got more friendly to North Korea since it's geographically near.
Right.
So that's why they've been chosen your collection.
Oh, okay.
And stuff. And so any word about this Kimpo 문화재단 after probably you hear about this? Why they've been chosen your collection?
Yeah, no, I'm very grateful for that. They've been provided me with a loyal service since 2016, and as they said, with Gimpo has this kind of dream to have like a sister city maybe on the other side of the Jogang River, the Hangang, Imjingang, Jogang River, and then one day maybe there's a chance for some kind of cultural exchange between North and South Korea using Gimpo as that area. I mean, I would like to help as much as I can with that. A lot of my work is about trying to take down the masks that kind of make North Koreans people or North Korea to be something that we should all be afraid of. I don't think fear is a good thing to have. And so if my work can help Gimpo and its citizens become less fearful of North Korea, I think that's a good thing for the future as well.
딱 두 가지 마지막 two 퀘스천. 짧게.
She's making up these answers as I go, mate.
이 전시를 보는 김포 시민들과 관람객들에게 하고 싶은 말 해주세요.
Any word for actually coming as to see the Gimpo, the people come here to see all the collections and pictures. Any word to them?
Just that there's many more that they can see. Okay, this is just a small piece of my collection. Okay, I think art or curation or exhibitions is always like something that's evolving. Okay, you can never be satisfied with the final product. We always need to find a better way to do it next time. Okay. So, but with what we have here, I think is probably a very good exhibition for someone who's never seen this type of work before. And I hope that it shows to them the kind of warmness of my work, okay? That when I go to these places, I purposely try to seek warm relationships with people, okay? And I hope that reflects in my work. I mean, I'm not it's not a naive thing that I do. I mean, I'm quite well aware of how people cannot be warm, or situations can be quite cold, or tension can be quite evil between countries, whether it's North and South Korea, or China and the United States, or whatever. There's always, those things are easy to find, easy to identify, okay? But I don't believe they do much good for common people like us. So I hope that my work is not removing the obvious fact that there are things we need to be concerned about, right? But that we should never forget that there's also humans are humans in the end, all right? And the people of North Korea are actually nice, warm people too when you get to meet them. And we shouldn't forget that.
앞으로의 당신 계획을 알려주세요.
뭐?
Your future plan.
Just go to sleep.
Not today.
Not today.
Next year.
막걸리 한 잔 줘보소.
Okay.
No, next year, yeah. Like, I kind of feel like the Baek Daegan in North Korea is done now. It's not done. I hope that one day South Koreans and North Koreans can actually explore the Baek Daegan properly and better than what I have, so that they can make it their own again, right? They can do it themselves. Because all I've done is introduce it and say that, it's there. One day you can do it together in the future, all right? So I think my work on Baek Daegan is kind of finished for now. And then I have my tours, Baek Daegan trekking tours. Hopefully they will grow, I don't know. But next year there's a mountain in Jagangdo, Bukane, called Ogasan. I'd never heard of this mountain before. Someone, I won't tell you who, someone told me I should go and see it. Someone here in South Korea said to me, you should go have a look at this mountain. And I says, why? And because I never heard of it. And he says, because it is the last piece of virgin forest left on the Korean peninsula. Primeval virgin forest. And I says, wow, that's insane. But I saw lots of really good primeval forests on the Baek Daegan in North Korea that had been untouched for a long time by man, but I wasn't quite aware what the definition of a virgin forest meant. And so I did a little bit of quick research on the internet, and there's literally hardly any information on this mountain, even in Korean, right? But it's true. Ogasan is the last virgin forest on the Korean peninsula. So I would like to be able to go there next year and start an expedition on that. Photograph it, document it with video, record it, and then come back and show the people of South Korea this amazing mountain. And then if it gains popularity, we should start to recognize it as a sacred mountain, which it already is in North Korea. It's protected already. But maybe the world can see it too. Maybe if we can use mountains of Korea, North and South, to introduce to the rest of the world what Korea is by using mountains and understanding that mountains for North Koreans and South Koreans are special, it might help build a relationship between North and South Korea. Who knows? But yeah, Ogasan would be a pretty good place to document and record, have exhibitions, make books, do a documentary, etc., etc. Yeah, it's true, huh? Yeah. I didn't know either. And it's top Sanjan. It's in the middle of nowhere, man. It's way, way away in the middle of nowhere. It will probably take 2 weeks just to get there. But yeah, I mean, I was excited about that because sometimes when you do this work, you kind of need new subjects. You need new ideas. Otherwise, it gets a little bit boring.
네네. 아까 북한 사람들에 대한 인상을 조금 말씀하시긴 했는데 그거를 좀 그 질문으로 해서 북한 사람이 북한 사람들에 대한 북한에 가서 만난 그 사람들에 대한 이야기와 연락을 한번
This is
짧게
one more time, a little bit shorter.
Yeah, it's okay. I got all night. Yeah.
About the people in North Korea who met.
Yeah.
You met. And how do you feel about them? What's your impression?
Oh, I mean, I think I said that already, but I can say it specifically. As I said before, I have a lot of time for the people of North Korea. I think I have quite a bit of admiration for them. I think they're very hardworking, they're very intelligent, they're very able to understand something quickly, like find a solution or fix a problem. And as I said before, there are people, whether we like it or not, their ideology, their system, but it has developed a people with a strong sense of purpose, okay? And that's quite apparent in them as a people. But also I found them to be very warm, very quick to a joke, like they quite like to hear a joke or a laugh. They enjoy sarcasm or wittism. You know, they quite enjoy making jokes to each other, and very Korean in a sense. You know, as a foreigner, I see things a bit differently from what Koreans might see. So, you know, I have similar experiences in South Korea too. You know, I think the people of North and South Korea are very much still the same people. They share similar affinities, very much so. Very much so, yeah. There's, you know, 70 years of division can't change 5,000 years of homogeneous identity, all right? It could, but it hasn't yet. It takes a long time for that to happen, no? Certainly the ideologies are very different, yeah? But then, you know, the ideology for South Korea is a new thing too. This form of capitalism and democracy is like, you know, a new thing for the people of South Korea too. So both North and South Koreans have kind of had to grow up in the last 70 years with two different political directions that are different from each other. Before that, they were just one people, living under like a Japanese colonialism, and then before that under kingdoms, okay? Joseon, Goryeo, Shilla, Goryeo, Gojoseon, more. So it's hard, it's quite a transition for the people of Korea in the last 70 years. But I think they've proven that they're both clever people, North and South, all right? That they both can do remarkable things.
혹시 마지막으로 하고 싶은 말 있어요?
What?
Any last word you want to talk
Oh,
to the people?
people of,
Anything you want to talk?
yeah, okay. I think it's, you know, it's hard, it's easy for Koreans to think that, you know, division is comfortable in the meantime. You know, South Korea has a lot to sacrifice, I guess, if there was some kind of coexistence between North and South Korea. But actually, I don't think that's true. I actually think there's massive opportunities for North and South Korea if they can coexist together in business, in culture, in language, in sport, in defense, in politics. So many things to achieve together as a coexistence. I also think now is probably the most is that if people are to show some courage about resolving this issue of division, because that's what it really needs. It needs courage. It doesn't need fear. That now is probably the best and maybe the only time they can do this. Okay, under Kim Jong-un, Moon Jae-in, and Donald Trump. So I sincerely hope something happens, and I would just urge, you know, people to not let fear stop you from doing something brave, okay, which would be for the two Koreas to coexist somehow. They don't need to be reunified, okay? I don't think that's a fair vision, because what does unification look like? No one has any idea what unification looks like. Unification isn't South Korea absorbing North Korea or North Korea absorbing South Korea. That's not unification. That's called an invasion. But if these two nations can coexist and open their border slowly, like what Eastern and Western Europe have done, then there's a possibility for Korea, as you know, in the future to become even stronger than what it is now. And maybe in 20, 30 years' time later on, the people of Korea can decide what kind of future they want. And that political system might be some kind of mutation of both those systems merged into one, and something new comes from it. Because let's face it, there's no real good political systems on the world at the moment, is there? I mean, capitalism is kind of starting to fade, right? And that, you know, so perhaps Korea can be a beacon of light to show us what a new political ideology might look like in the next 20 years. You know, fighting things like climate change, pollution, all these problems that in the world we have at the moment that need to be fixed. Anyway, this is kind of a dream vision, but anyway, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.